Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Irresistible Brand Podcast. I am Matt Deutschman. I'm the owner of Doubletake Promotional Marketing. And since 2010, we've been helping colleges and universities and corporations in various industries with promotional products and branded merchandise. And over the years, the four key strategic initiatives we typically support with promotional products are client appreciation, referral generation, employee engagement and retention, and recruiting and onboarding. Companies that execute these four areas well develop an irresistible brand, which clients can't help but refer to others, employees can't help but promote, and recruits can't wait to join. Thus, the Irresistible Brand Podcast, where I talk with other leaders in those key strategic areas. I am really excited to be joined today by Erin Diehl. Erin Big Deal is a business improv edutainer, failfluencer, and professional Zombie. Through a series of unrelated dares, Erin created Improve It, a unique professional development company that pushes others to laugh, learn, play, and grow. Among her many accolades, Erin is most proud of successfully coercing over 26,000 professionals to chicken dance. Erin Diehl is a graduate from Clemson University and a former experiential marketing and recruiting professional, as well as a veteran improviser from the top improvisational training programs in Chicago, including the Second City, I.O. Theater, and the Annoyance Theater. Erin has spoken on stages nationwide for all types of events and associations, including Disrupt HR, SHRM, HRMAC, and ADT. She is a member of the Chicago Innovations Award Women's Cohort and a graduate of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. She is also the proud host of the Improve It podcast, which you can find anywhere you listen to pods. When she's not playing pretend or facilitating, she enjoys walking on the beach with her husband, son, and 8-pound toy poodle, Big Deal. Erin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Every time I hear that bio, I'm like, wow, what a gal. What a gal.
Pretty impressive, huh?
No, I'm like, wow, she needs a life. No.
Let me ask you the question. What does the concept of an irresistible brand mean to you?
Okay. I love this question. And I love that this is the name of the show. We're getting right into it. And
right
I love
into it.
Right
Let's
into it. When I think of an irresistible brand, I think of a magnet, like the U-shaped magnet that it's like the old school horseshoe looking magnet. That's what I think of. And I think of it almost like electricity. When you see this logo, you feel something and it draws you in magnetically to what the brand's core values are. That to me is an irresistible brand. When I see a Nike swoosh, I'm like, yes, I'm about to just do it. When I look at Southwest, I'm like, you're pretty nice. Although it's sometimes like herding cats, it's a nice way to fly. People are so kind. And I actually called Southwest the other day and I had a customer service person who wasn't super kind. And I was like, this isn't the Southwest experience. So it's really, when I think of an irresistible brand, it is not just the look, it is the magnetic attraction to what the brand's mission and values are.
Love it. Yeah, you hit on a couple important things there. That it's the brand. In our business, everybody associates a brand with a logo, and yes, we put logos on stuff, but that's the tip of the iceberg. That's the part that you can see above the surface. It's all of what's below the surface, and when you see that logo, how does it make you feel? What experiences are you anticipating when you see that logo? And so it's a really interesting concept that you have a perception of what Southwest is all about, and they've trained you to feel that way. And they've trained you to come to expect that when you see their logo, when you interact with them in any way, shape, or form. And so if you don't receive, and not to pick on Southwest here, but if you don't receive, something that meets that expectation or that brand experience that they've conditioned you to know and love about them, something's off, right? And so you want to dig deeper and find out, hey, what I'm feeling right now is not in alignment with their core values and what they really stand for as a company. And that is so much deeper than just a logo and a visual.
Totally. And I mean, there's just so much thought that goes in, obviously, as you know, to creating a brand look and feel and style guide, all of those things. I'm just thinking of an entrepreneur that I know right now off the top of my head, Kara Golden of Hint Water. Now, Kara is coming on the Improve It podcast soon. She is the CEO of this multi-million-dollar company. And the vibe that I get when I look at Hint Water is literally, this is good for me. Like, that's what I see when I see her logo. And she just sent me all this swag, by the way, which is really cool. We need her Irresistible Brand podcast needs to talk to Kara Golden because she has got some swag. But it's so refreshing. It's actually the word I think of when I think of Hint, refreshing.
And
that's the feeling it gives me. Yeah. Cause it's less sugar, more water. And the water itself is water infused with fruit. And there's no preservatives, no sugars, and it's a very natural drink. And I know I'm not giving it all the service that the justice that it deserves here, but that is with that. When I look at the brand, I feel this feeling of refreshment, and that to me is irresistible because it makes me I become thirsty. I'm seeing this logo with Hint and then a little fruit next to it. I'm like, yeah, I could have a water with some lime right now. That sounds great. And speaking of, I've got my Yeti cup right here that I want to take a sip of just by talking about it.
Well, and here you are, you're talking about their brand, right? And unprompted. And you're not talking about the product benefits. You're talking about how the product makes you feel and the emotions that it elicits in you when you think about it. Right. And yes, obviously it's got benefits. If that's table stakes, right? The product has to have benefits, features and benefits. That's how people typically sell. But what's the emotional connection? And that's where, the irresistible nature of a brand can really shine.
This just made me think of one more thing. Sorry, I'm talking about all these brands on here, but this is Irresistible Brands. Okay. I'm holding, as your listeners cannot see this, but I'm holding a gigantic, I don't even know how many ounces, Yeti cup with a straw. This is how I force myself to drink more water. And it's my favorite color, which is teal, which is also a part of the Improve It brand. And I wear my brand colors on the regular because it makes me happy. That's a whole other story. When I look at Yeti, when I see Yeti in any store, I automatically, and especially if it's this teal color, I'm so drawn to it because number one, Yeti keeps my drinks either cold or hot. And that is I like a cold water or like a hot coffee. I don't like this lukewarm stuff. Okay. Yeti, their products give me this feeling of comfort because either water is going to help me get through my workday. Coffee is starting my workday. And let's be honest, I've got a Yeti little stemless cup myself that I have to end the workday sometimes for a cold glass of Sauvignon Blanc. Yeti, when I see this, it makes me so happy because I think of the things that I enjoy about work. And these are little perks. These little things are like, okay, I get to get up and have my cup of coffee today. And I know it's going to be hot because it's in my Yeti mug. And I know I'm going to have some cold water in my Yeti glass. I don't know anybody who works at Yeti. This is not a sponsored conversation.
Maybe
this
now it is.
Just right. I will take sponsors on the Improve It podcast. No, but I just love the way that the brand makes me feel. And that to me is irresistible.
Well, and that's the key is that you've talked about the way that you didn't talk about like the superior warming quality of the bottle. You talked about how it makes you feel when you're starting your workday, how it makes you feel refreshed as you're going through your workday, and how you enjoy, topping off at the end of your workday, right? So it's all about the experiences that you associate with the brand. Now I could do a whole 2-hour seminar on Yeti and drinkware that we've come across in our industry. And what I'll to keep it brief, I'll tell you that Yeti is an outstanding marketing company. That and it all goes back to that, that brand that they've developed for themselves, that they've developed this brand of superior drinkware and developing that connection that you have to when you're using that drinkware. And without bashing Yeti or talking too much about the weeds of drinkware, I'll kind of leave it at that from my perspective.
That is fascinating, and I would listen to that conversation. So bring it on. I love Yeti, and whatever they're doing, they have hooked me line and sinker. They've got stuff for fishing too. There it is. They've got all kinds of products.
Yeah,
but I love them. I do. So, all right.
So
I'm going to digress.
No, let's use that to springboard to the next topic, right? You talked about the teal Yeti bottle that you have and how your favorite color is teal. You've woven that into your brand. For me, my favorite color is orange and blue. You will almost always see me wearing blue. I'm like Superman in only one way, and that it's my entire wardrobe is the same. It's all blue. And I've got, my orange and blue my Doubletake hat over here behind me. I've got everything on my desk is orange and blue. Every product we do from Doubletake is orange and blue. And that comes from my love of the New York Mets, sadly. But, at the end of the day, that's become the essence of our brand. It's orange and blue. That's kind of where it starts. Can you talk about number one, how teal makes you feel? And then, why it's important to be consistent and to have you talked about your style guide, right? Why it's important to have brand standards and a distinct style guide for your business.
Yes. Let me tell you the deal with teal. Okay. Pun intended. And this is shocking for me today, Matt. I'm wearing a purple shirt with teal earrings. You can see the teal polka dots in the background here. This is really just too much. It's extra. Okay. But teal, this is actually very interesting. And I wish I could tell you this. We worked before Improve It was ever launched. I just knew the colors were black, white, and teal. And the E of Improve It is always teal because you could take or leave the E. It could be improv it or really we're improve it, right? But the E can be silent, but we improve the lives of professionals through improv. So there is the whole tie-in, right? So teal for me, for whatever reason, just brings me joy. It's such a joyful color. And we had this logo created. Actually, my first logo was created by one of my friends who was dabbling in graphic design. So she was not a graphic designer, but she crushed it. And I loved it. And I said, here's the color choices. There was not really a ton of science put into it, but I said, let's try these colors. And then we developed all of our brand logo. Our brand logo was created. Our website was created, all of our materials, right? That served us for a while until our website looked like it was created in 2001. And we said, we need to upgrade this. And we started working with a branding agency in Chicago. And they created this style guide, but I was very adamant that these are the colors. We had to go through some questioning, and I can't remember off the top of my head what teal means, but branding does have a science behind it. The colors draw people in certain ways, but teal for me is happiness, it's joy, it's positivity, and it's laughter to me. That's when I look at teal, those are the things. And those are laughter, levity, and positivity are some of the standing pillars that our business is built upon. And I really noticed this when I got married, because when we got married, you have your wedding colors, and it's shocking. Before Improve It was ever started, our wedding colors were black, white, and teal. And it was just something with pops of red in there. And so I was like, this, for whatever reason, is such a joyful color. It's almost like a robin's egg blue teal vibe. It brings peace, joy, laughter. And so that is what, when I look at my house, I have teal literally everywhere. It's just everywhere in our house. It is something that I associate myself with. And I do think that strong brands have a strong connection to color, and they have a strong connection to the way that those colors make people feel. Again, it goes back to this feeling. So that was why teal, to me, when we started working with the agency, I had to keep it as our colors. They were asking us, do you want to change no, I said, this is absolutely the way that, yes. And so it's funny because I looked at my closet when the pandemic hit. I have so many teal dresses, literally whole closet is filled with teal dresses. And that's what I wore to facilitate. And I was like, will I ever wear these teal dresses again? So I just bought teal yoga pants, That's where I'm at.
There you go. Well, and what I love is that my story of my brand is actually, it parallels in a few ways. But what I love is that it's the teal color evokes certain emotions in you, and those are also the same emotions that correspond with your core values. Like you called it pillars, but essentially it's the core values of your business. Can you say what those are again? It was laughter, levity,
Positivity. Yep.
Positivity, right? So so you've built a brand that visually people can understand what the emotions behind that brand stand for, right? For me, like I said, when I started, I think everybody kind of starts a business, starts the same way. They have a friend design their logo, right? Someone who's not a professional, but maybe now is, right? So that's kind of what I had. I had a friend who was studying graphic design, who now is a professional graphic designer, and she did a great job coming up with our first logo for Doubletake. And I told her, I was adamant the colors had to be orange and blue just because I'm a Met fan. And, there was no further, science behind it. But about 5 years later, in 2015, we went through a brand refresh process and worked with an actual marketing agency and then a graphic design firm to redo our logo and our entire brand identity. And I said, I really like orange and blue. Let's go through the process. I would love to still land on orange and blue, but let's still go through the process to make sure that fits with what we put forth. And blue is a color of like stability and calm in a lot of ways. You'll see a lot of banks and financial planning institutions. They have blue as one of their core colors because they want to exude that stability and longevity and you want the blue sky and the blue ocean water. When you're thinking about your money, you don't want to be thinking about your money. You want to be thinking about sitting on a beach somewhere. So, I think we provide that type of calm and stress reduction for our clients. And that was something that, kind of went into the blue color. And then orange is a vibrant, modern color. It brings, vibrancy and like a modernity with it. And, I think that's important to infuse into marketing. And that's something that, we've always kind of embodied also. So that orange and blue, it fit well. So we decided to keep it. And so it's parallel in that way that like you went with your gut, but then years later turned out that, your gut actually, was aligned with your brand values.
That's it. That is it. And I don't ever see us changing it. I just don't. There's just no going back at this point. And when I see companies with strong color values, let's call them color values, not core values, it just tells me they know who they are. That's what it is. It shows they know that their place, their mission, their core values of their color values, if you will, are aligned. And it's just a really interesting thing to think about. And I don't really sit in this world thinking about it all the time. I am in experiential, but I'm in experiential training versus experiential marketing, which I used to be in. So this is an interesting thought and kind of a reversal of going about my day to day. I don't really recognize the fact that the color wheel that we put together is so embodied in who we are.
And there's no need to change it if it's in alignment.
No,
right?
no,
So,
we're never changing it. Mark my words on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
you never know. You never know.
Well, and something that you said is it exudes sort of the confidence of knowing yourself as a brand. And I think that corresponds to personal interaction also, right? Like knowing yourself personally and being confident, with who you are, in a lot of ways, like that precedes being a more outwardly confident to others. And a lot of time, a lot of people, I would imagine, this was the case for me. It wasn't until I was really until I developed a deeper level of comfort and confidence with who I am, that I was ready to get married, to have a relationship with someone where I can then, kind of build out just from my own person. So, not to get too deep on relationship psychology of it, but, there's also this concept of being a team member within a larger organization and developing your personal brand, while still being in alignment with the company brand. And I know that's something that you train on and you have experience with. Is that something you can speak to as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you see me here, literally, your audience can't see this, but I'm literally bleeding. I got so heated when I was like, we will not change it. I cut my thumb on the corner of my little podium here. So my
first
my
ever injury on the Irresistible Brand podcast.
I hope the insurance is great. Workers' compensation.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but this is so funny. Yes, I can speak to, yeah, I'm like, yes, as my finger is bleeding. No, I can totally speak to that, because when you have we'll call them a brand ambassador, an internal brand ambassador, right? Somebody who believes in the mission of your work so much, you know that you have, number one, chosen the mission for your brand correctly. You have also correctly communicated that to the people that you're leading, and that you've also created a intrapreneurial spirit in that person. Intrapreneurial. So I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like I build and prove it. However, entrepreneurs have to have entrepreneurs. You have to have the people within those companies who believe in the work that you do so that you can continue to scale and grow it. I'll just give an example. Jenna on my team, she is our director of client experience, started off as an intern at Improve It. Okay. 2017. This internship ended. She said, "Can I stay on? I love it here. This is my best part of my week." I'll never forget that. And I was like, "Yes, we can't hire you right now. We're kind of lean, but we love you. We'd love you to come, but just like, this is going to be what it is. This isn't going to be a super paid internship here." Back in 2017, right? Learned the lesson. But what happened was Jenna called me for a reference for another job. And I said, "You may not go to that other job. We're going to find a job for you here because you've made yourself invaluable." And now Jenna has spent 5 years at Improve It, and she has grown from intern to client experience associate, client experience manager, director of client experience. She believes in the work that we do so much that she is bringing in some of the coolest clients ever. We've worked with LinkedIn. We've worked with Warby Parker. We've worked with Pfizer. We've worked with some of the coolest brands in the world because her conviction and the way that she talks about Improve It to these companies is what they believe. So you can't continue to share a brand. A brand can't, in my opinion, if your internal team, if the people who are that are under the umbrella of the entrepreneur do not believe, or whoever it is, the leader, the CEO, if they don't believe in the work and in the mission, no one else is going to believe it. So you have to create that brand loyalty within, and that starts with company culture, right? You have to create and define company culture. For us, we were building the plane as we were flying it. And Jenna has been such a crusader, if you will, of our company culture. She's helped define it and create it. And she is in charge of our culture internally. And that includes our internal team of 5, and then our improv professionals of 22 people across the nation. She's really helps sustain, cultivate, and create that culture. And I believe it's because she's had the autonomy, and she's also had the belief in what the brand stands for to do that.
I love that. There's so many bits of wisdom in what you just said. And I love the story about Jenna, and take care of that finger.
I know I'm sucking my thumb right now because I have blood on my finger. This is a first, Matt. This is a first. Okay.
We could stop and come back, but I don't want to. This is good momentum. So let's continue.
The show must go on. There are no mistakes, only gifts. Okay. The show must go on.
I love what you said about, you called Jenna an internal brand ambassador, right? That is huge. That's, that's the essence of the convergence between marketing and HR. The HR function and the marketing function are deeply intertwined. That's how, internal marketing is a concept that has not really been codified until just, kind of recently. I've been reading about it over the last couple of years. It's something that's been talked about a lot further. And that's the essence of what we do. I like to say, no one's going to wear the jacket with the logo of the company they work at on it if they hate working there. Right. So,
Totally.
First you have to do what like you said, develop the culture, right? Build that cultural foundation, build something that people can be passionate about and can really believe in. And then they're going to be better at what they do. But more importantly, that intrapreneurial spirit to take that foundation and harness it and build even further up, that it's not just the job of the entrepreneur to grow the business. It's also their team that, kind of catches that same fire. Right.
That's it. And let me say to that, also within the internal marketing, you have to get very comfortable clothes. The Improve It hoodie that we have, I'm just going to share this. And Matt, I'm coming to you next because we're in need of new hoodies. But this brand of hoodie, whatever it is, I will never go back because my team loves the hoodies that we have with the Improve It logo on them, the old school Improve It logo from back in the day. We haven't upgraded. And they wear them. Literally, I'll see pictures of them on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, they're in the hoodie. They're in Ireland in the hoodie. Like, that's so cool, right? And people are like, well, what's Improve It, right? They wear it because they believe in it, also because it's comfortable, but also because they are so invested. They're seeing not only the growth of the company, they're seeing their growth of themselves within the company, and so. You don't wear something that doesn't bring you joy. You don't drink out of a cup that doesn't bring you joy. So the fact that your internal team chooses to wear your logo outside of work, how cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
That is a testament to being in alignment with the company's assignment.
How important is it? I mean, I think we've defined how important it is, but what are some ways that you help companies effectively communicate the brand mission and the brand value internally to create those brand ambassadors and those brand advocates amongst employees? And what do you see in the marketplace? Is that typically is that an HR function? Is that a marketing function? Is there that tight-knit convergence like I talked about, or what's your experience in there?
So my experience is this. So you can have the most fantastic HR department, but if HR isn't giving the leaders within the organization the tools that these leaders need to grow and thrive, then there is a disconnect, right? But in my opinion, people don't leave organizations. They leave the leaders that they're being led by. And unless you can tune, so how Prove It works is most of the time our clients are HR, their talent development, but also we hear from a lot of direct leaders. So a sales manager or a sales director, and they come to us with a very specific need. That need might be a challenge. And that's where we really dig deep because we want to solve the problem that they're having culturally, right? So that challenge might be that we're now working in this remote world and my team does not have any way to connect with each other as we used to in person. So that's a need that we can help fix with our communication workshop, with our team building workshop, and just helping them fine tune ways that they can connect in this virtual world. It has to stem though from, in my opinion, you can get teams of people all you want, but the leader who is the leader of that team needs to be a part of the work. They can't just say, my team needs this training. The leader needs to be invested in that training and do the work with the team while they're going through it so they can hear what the team is saying. And that's where I really like to land first with leaders is, have you asked for feedback? Have you asked for feedback about your leadership? Are you, number one, getting feedback first and then giving it? So we start there with a leader. Okay. What is their challenge? What do they see? And then when we start working with an organization, we do pre-work. And so we hear from the leader what the challenge is. And then we hear from the participants before we go into a session what their challenges are. Most of the time they're aligned, right? So then we can go into a session and we can really fine tune that pain point, that challenge. We can redirect, we can give examples of how to change that, but we also create, this goes back to experiential, a feeling. And that feeling is what people remember. Again, people don't leave jobs, they leave leaders, but they also don't really necessarily remember. I think back to I just released a podcast episode today about with my former boss. And I don't remember the work that we did on the day-to-day. I mean, maybe I had a spreadsheet and a scorecard and all that stuff. What I remember about that job was the way that Jen made me feel. And so that feeling, it goes back to this experience that if you can create a culture and a feeling of inclusivity and belonging and connection, then people are going to want to stay at their jobs and they're going to want to serve the mission of that organization as long as they can, because they feel like they matter. And when people feel like they matter, which is a concept of improv, yes, and when you feel like you've been heard, that's when you want to contribute more. And when you want to contribute more, that's when productivity rises. And when productivity rises, that's when organizations and the people within them thrive. And that's what we teach is the underlying fundamental of how do you get your culture to this place of yes and. I went on some tangents there.
No. I mean, it's all gold. And I think that, we talk a lot about culture relating to, employee engagement, employee retention, making people feel heard, like you just said, with the yes and concept, and retention is obviously a hot button right now, and likewise recruiting is. So how does some of this impact recruiting as well, and what do you do, or what have you seen clients of yours or companies that you work with do really strongly from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah. Again, it's that they make them feel like they belong right off the bat. That's it. And it's just to, throw our hat in the ring. A lot of companies who have a lot of competition in the recruiting space, a lot of financial firms, they use us as a recruiting tool. They'll bring people to their office. They'll bring and improve it. They'll show this is kind of what we do. We help you grow in your career with outside of the box training. That's one way. So showing them that you're going to invest in not only their work that you're asking them to do, but in their growth is one great retention and recruitment tool. I also really love this idea of just when you are recruiting from a space of your core values. So at Improve It, we have 5 core values. Okay. And I'm just going to give you what we do as a recruitment standpoint.
Okay.
These core values were created by the internal team at Improve It. And we use those in everything we do. So in the interview that we do, first and foremost, with a potential employee or whatever it may be, improv professional, we give them the core values and we have them look at them before we talk. And then the questions that we ask are based off of those core values. So they are behavioral questions to make sure, because we can teach the skill that we need them to do all day long, except if it's like, a very specific thing that you need years and years of schooling for. We can teach them for the most part, but what we can't teach is, are you in alignment with these? Are these core values the core of who you are? Because if you're not in alignment with that, this isn't going to work, right? And from that, we then hire from those core values. We do quarterly reviews, and those reviews are an assessment of how you're doing in relation to those core values. And it's making sure, because the mission of our company comes first, and we cannot serve the people that we serve without those values being in place. And so if we're having to check those values first before serving other people, that's just a waste of time, right? So making sure that when you are recruiting, the mission of the organization is clear, and that the people that you are recruiting for are in alignment with that in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be against the core values, but it needs to be that the alignment of the people and the mission of the organization are one and the same. And starting from that will create this irresistible brand. There's not that much that you have to create. It's already created.
Good way to bring it full circle. We started with color, right? So your color has to speak to the essence of what the brand stands for. Then that communication has to be conveyed through your entire culture and the behavior of the people within the company and how that relates back to your core values. And I love the concept of using core values as benchmarks in reviews, and also using core values as a way to recruit and onboard and assess a cultural fit before hiring someone. That's, I think it's important what you said, that it's not, for most, other than, education specific tasks, generally speaking, anyone applying for a job is already going to be able to check the box of whatever tasks that they would need to complete in the job. And the majority of what you need to get a feel for from a hiring standpoint, or also from a job seeking standpoint, is cultural fit, right? And so that's a great way to approach that, is to use those core values in a way that feeds directly into that.
That's it. I love that. And I didn't come up with this. I've learned it through many trials, and it has served us very well. And I will say, every hire that we have internally at Improve It has passed what I call the airplane test. It's, do you want to sit next to this person for 8 hours on an airplane? And will they be a kind, compassionate, loving, caring person to you during that 8-hour trip? That to me is, because when we go on those trips too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, literally we're doing the trips.
I don't know if I could use that assessment in my company, because I'm asleep the entire flight and I'm probably all over the armrest with the person next to me. So they're not going to want.
No, you're my ideal passenger. No, we don't want our people to sleep. But is it the qualities of a great improviser make up the qualities of a great human being? And that, to me, is really what we look for in a recruiting standpoint, because we are asking companies to halt production so we can come in and train your team. So we have to, number one, be trusted. You have to trust us. You have to know that the person leading you comes from a good place, that they care about the world. They care about the people that they're serving. There's no ego. I mean, there's just so many different things that everyone's looking for when they hire, but for Improve It, those are the things that really, I will say this, there's not a single person on our team who I wouldn't say is a quality human being. They're just quality human beings. And when you have those people out in the world wearing your hoodies with your logo on it, you are not worried about what they're representing of your brand. You're like, that is my brand. They are and literally, I don't have a product. Those people, that's my product.
The brand is your people.
And that is what every company, if they thought of that way, that person wearing your logo, you should want them to, you want to be proud that person is wearing your logo. And that's where the core values come in. So
the Irresistible brand is a two-way street, basically. It's your people have to be, they have to be irresistible from the standpoint of the brand also. Right. So I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, kind of on a sort of closing note, but I want to hear what you have to add. But you talked about like the value of professional development, that that using something like Improve It as a way of showcasing for a recruit, hey, this is something that we do. This is something we do here, and so not only is it it's professional development, yes, but it gets to the essence of what we're all about as a culture, that we value the improvisational skills, and we're training on that. And you said we're stopping production to train on this because it's that important, right? Well, I mean, and statistics do show that job seekers and employees alike place a tremendous value on professional development opportunities at their current role or at a future role. And people leave roles where they don't see professional development opportunities coming their way. So what you're providing is it's an excellent recruiting tool, and it's also an excellent value add to existing operations.
Thank you. And that's the way we feel about it. And it seems, if you don't have an understanding of how improv can transform teams, I would encourage you to take an Improv for Business class, come to one of our showcases, see for yourself, because it is an experience. You can't describe it unless you're in the room, and you can never replicate it. It'll never happen again, because it's all dependent on the people and the energy. And we always make it a better space than when we left it. When we first walk in the room, we are going to create a room of, we're going to walk into 20 people. When we walk out, that's a group of 20 people. It is not individually 20 people. It is a cohesive group of 20. And it's just a transformational teaching tool that has the ability to really create the connection and belonging that teams are craving right now.
Well, Erin, you have certainly left the Irresistible Brand podcast a better room than it was before you arrived. So thank you for that.
Stop, keep going. Oh my God. Thank you. That is
Thank you so much for being with me today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Irresistible Brand podcast. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Again, I'm Matt Deutschman from Doubletake Promotional Marketing, where we specialize in promotional products and branded merchandise with a focus on the strategic initiatives of client appreciation, referral generation, employee engagement and retention, and recruiting and onboarding. Organizations that execute those areas well create an irresistible brand. If you haven't checked it out yet, visit doubleTakeBrandBarometer.com for our quick 5-minute assessment to see how well your organization performs in those areas and get some advice on where you can improve and where you can leverage existing strengths. Our mission is to help you make your brand irresistible. See you again next time.